Right, so recently we got CADs and images of the iPhone 15 Pro, and now we have the same details for the regular iPhone 15, so let's delve into it. So we actually have the same sources who gave us details regarding the 15 Pro series, and that's specifically Unknowns12 and Max Weinbach. So let's begin with the leak from Unknowns12 because they give us a live image of a prototype iPhone 15, and this basically looks like an iPhone 14 Pro Lite, as the rumors have been suggesting, because we have bezels similar to the 14 Pro in the front and the dynamic island. Now the island itself looks to be the same size as the one on the 14 Pros, and really the only changes setting this apart is the aluminium frame, which is nice since it's a matte finish, and also more importantly the Type-C port. So yeah, this is some confirmation that we are going to see the regular models also get the Type-C port. However, there is a chance that these might have slower speeds, like we saw on the iPad 10. And yeah, that very much could be the case because Quo told us, and also Chinese source now tells us, that we can expect a higher speed port with the Pros, and the regular models might get USB 2.0 speeds. But to be honest, that's not a massive issue because the nerds who care about details like this are not buying the regular models. These are for regular consumers, and the fact we now have a Type-C port and consumers can now use one port for all devices is going to be way more important than the actual speed of the port. However, what's more worrying is that there has been reports that maybe Apple's certified cables would only work with the 15 series. That would be horrible, and I'm hoping that's not the case, but speed-wise, I am fine with slow speeds for the regular models. Now that's not all regarding the regular 15, because now we move on to Max Weinbach's leak, and while those are CADs giving us more details regarding what to expect. And while the big surprise is that there could be a bigger display on the front. So of course with the island and thinner bezels, and maybe also a slightly larger body, we could see a 6.2 inch display on the regular 15, which is a 0.1 inch increase over the current size. Now that's interesting because in the previous CADs for the Pro models, there was no mention regarding a display increase, and so is the regular 15 really gonna be bigger than the 15 Pro? Well, of course, Apple has done that in the past. Both the 11 and the 10R were bigger than the smaller Pro versions, and so maybe Apple's gonna do that again with the 15 series. However, there is also a chance that since we don't have dimensions for these CADs, there is a chance that maybe the source is rounding up the display and in reality it's still going to be marketed as a 6.1 inch panel, because the 14 Pro, in case you weren't aware, also got a slight display increase, but it's still mentioned as 6.1 inches, and so the same thing could be the case for the regular 15. And yes, I know that Ian Zelbo does give us renders of the 15 and 15 Pro based on these CADs, and you can see the 15 slightly larger, but do remember with the 15 Pro CADs, there was information regarding the bezels being thin on the device, reducing the size of the actual body. So while the 15 might look larger here, that's because it does have thicker bezels, and it should be similar in size to the 14 Pro. Since let's be honest guys, Apple's going to take the lazy route, and they would much rather recycle the same dimensions from last year's Pro iPhones. They did that with the regular 14s this year because 13 Pro screen protectors worked perfectly with the regular 14s, and so that's going to be the case again with the regular 15s. Anyways, moving on to the actual body of the CADs, you can see the sides are more rounded, similar to the iPhone 15 Pro CADs, though unlike the Pros, I never found the regular models digging into my hand because the aluminium chassis right now does not have as sharp of an edge as the stainless steel Pros, and so the slightly more rounded design's not going to make a massive difference, especially if you already use a case. And actually it's a downgrade in some aspects because, as was the case with the 15 Pro CADs, we do have 2.5D glass on the front, so yes, you won't be able to apply flat screen protectors on the iPhone 15 series, since the glass now has a curvature towards the edges. Now you might notice the cutouts for the buttons are quite different compared to the Pro CADs. These are more similar to regular iPhone buttons, and so it's likely only the Pros are getting the capacitive buttons, and these get the same old regular buttons we've had for years. Now this actually is not a massive drawback, especially since many of you guys in the comments actually hate the idea of capacitive buttons, and so yeah, this is a right compromise for the regular iPhones. I will say though, I'm looking forward to seeing how the capacitive buttons work on the Pros, especially since the volume module is now one piece instead of being two separate buttons, And so maybe you could swipe on that button to lower and increase the volume. That would be pretty neat. But let's see what Apple does. Now moving to the back of the device, this looks identical to the regular 13. It's the same diagonal layout, the same mic and flash position as far as I know, so yes, no visual changes on the back of the device, though there is a chance that the main lens could now adopt the 48 megapixel main sensor from the 14 Pros, which I'm hoping is the case because that could also give us a 2x digital crop that would be as good as having a telephoto, which of course the regular models never get. And yes, I do think we need telephoto quality zoom because the regular S23 and basically every other Android phone for the same price has triple cameras, and the only one that doesn't, the Pixel, that has super rare zoom because of the much larger main sensor, so of course cropping into it, it still gives you telephoto quality zoom, so that is very much needed for the regular models. So yeah, that's a camera bump on the 15, and comparing this to the monstrosity that is the 15 Pro camera bump, it does look a lot cleaner. So yeah, that's basically everything about the CADs. I do want to say though that if we do see a bigger screen on the regular size, I'm hoping one day it can be 6.4 inches, that way it's the perfect middle size between the Pro size and the Pro Max. And yes, if Apple does increase the size to 6.4 inches, they can get rid of the Plus, which we all know has been a sales flop, and we can go back to one regular size. That made the most sense. We don't need 4 new models, just 3 like the iPhone 11 series would make the most sense. Anyways, let's delve into your questions. So Thomas here is replying to a comment regarding someone holding on to the 7 Plus and waiting for the iPhone 15, and he says, as for the guy with the 7 Plus, I agree with Saran, if his needs are basic then he could have swapped the battery and still be happy using it. I still can't imagine myself using the 7 Plus. I actually have the regular 7, mostly because of the camera. I currently use the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and the difference in camera quality is massive. What I admire though is he definitely got his money's worth by using the device for many years, and didn't produce a ton of extra waste by buying new stuff on a regular basis. And yeah, Thomas makes a very good point at the end because yes, hold on to your devices for longer and get your money's worth. I'm trying my best to do that as well, though of course I do have to review some new products. But yes, if I was an average consumer, I would definitely be using my products for at least 2 to 3 years. Anyways, that's about it guys, but tell me your thoughts regarding this report in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours, and on that note, I'll see you guys in the next one.